Donald Trump won't be able to escape a sentencing decision in the New York criminal case where he was convicted on 34 felony counts as of now, because you had Justice Merchan in that case, the judge presiding over it, rejected Donald Trump's claim that he was entitled to absolute immunity based on the Supreme Court ruling and to dismiss the case on that basis. Had Trump won his motion to dismiss on absolute immunity ground, we would never go to the next step about sentencing, since if the case was dismissed, you don't move to sentencing. Well, now, Justice Merchan, who rejected Trump's claim for absolute immunity, now has to at least address this issue of sentencing. And Harry, you and I have covered this before because this was briefed by the district attorney's office. You and I did a whole hot take on this, where the district attorney's office gave Justice Merchan different options about what to do when and if you reject Donald Trump's motion to dismiss. Obviously, it's a unique and peculiar situation, unique in American history. Never happened before, where a president-elect, or even before this, a former president, was convicted at all, yet alone on 34 serious felony counts. So Justice Merchan rejects Trump's absolute immunity claim. Donald Trump takes to social media and goes on this rant, this tirade, capital letters saying Merchan is awful human being. He's mean to me. This is so horrible. But now the question is, what does Justice Merchan do? District Attorney Alvin Bragg said, look, there's a few options. You can pause the sentencing until after Trump's term is over and then deal with sentencing then. You could just declare that you would have sentenced Trump and treat Trump essentially like you maybe would a dead person who is criminally convicted. Mm-hmm. So the stain, the scarlet letter, the stench of mendacity, to use another phrase, is always there. Or three, just sentence him, just go for it and throw him in prison, I suppose, when he's in the Oval Office, which you and I know is not a real option. I think to the chagrin, perhaps, of our audience members, that's not going to happen. I don't want to get people's hopes up that that's really even a legitimate option. So we're at least at this point, though, right, where Justice Merchan is not backing out, it appears, of at least making a call and putting himself on the record here. We don't know what that's going to be as of this recording, but he's at least going to address it, it seems. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think so too. That's exactly right. So he's given some ground and acknowledged the kind of unprecedented circumstances, as you put it, of having a convict who's a president-elect. And he's given some ground on scheduling, but he he gave Trump the opportunity to make his big claim that because he's president-elect, he can't be sentenced. That's I would say, the summary of it, the sort of nut of the argument. But he had him make it December 2nd. He had Bragg follow up a week later. The table is set. There's no reason that he couldn't move to sentence him right away. Now, I would add to your three options a sort of 3A or 4, even if you want to say it, which is sends him right away, but make it something super light, maybe just a fine. Obviously, you're right, nothing incarceratory, probably not even probation. And on the one hand, Trump haters who want to see him in the orange jumpsuit will say darn, but I think at this point, what we're really fighting over is history, and Trump is fighting vehemently over it. That is, will the official records, the court records of the country, record accurately that the president of the United States is a felon 34 times over? Because if Trump had won that last one, Ben, it would have been back to square one, a new trial, and, all bets are off. That's what he's trying to do now. And I think whatever option that Merchan chooses, that scarlet letter, it remains either in the foreground or in the background. But if he sends them right away, it's sort of there, whatever happens to it. If he holds it in abeyance, it's still sort of there. And even he's been mocked a lot for this. What happens, in Alabama, it's the Alabama rule if a defendant has died. But the point there is to have the judicial system just note what has happened. What Bragg says, and it's pretty both hard to really contest and very mild, is he was convicted and he wasn't, the appeal didn't finish because he became president, and now we'll close up the matter. You don't have to worry anymore, Mr. Trump. But don't try to rewrite history. And that is really what I think the battle is over. So yeah, he could do it tomorrow. Whenever he tries, Trump will try to appeal. But the real question, I think, will be, it's been narrowed to this now: will we have the official recognition that this president-elect and president-to-be of the United States is a felon 34 times over? Because Trump is oddly obsessed with trying to undo the past. He still said in his post-election interview he wouldn't say that the 2020 election wasn't stolen from him. And he's proved, apparently when he interviews people for cabinet positions, they've got to affirm that it was rigged or they're not being considered. It's crazy because it's, you would think he would put that behind him, but he's got this strange obsession with it. So that fight, which seems pretty narrow to us, I think is really big to him. And it matters a lot in the sense that it would be a travesty if somehow the, official archived records of the courts of New York actually lost all mention of this pretty significant historical event, a president being convicted 34 times over. So if I have to bet, I think Mayor Chun won't push that hard to do it right away, especially if it's appealed, but he will push hard. And I don't see an easy way to reverse him, just to have the fact of it stated and on the record. We talked previously about the relative well insulated ruling that Trump can't make it go away on immunity, and I think the question of sentence hovers over here. Maybe it hovers and in kind of mothballs, if that's not a mixed metaphor, for up to 4 years. But what Trump wants, I think he's going to have trouble getting, and that's to the good, because the nation needs to have it set in stone and undeniable that this president is a 34-time over felon.
Look, that's what the district attorney's office really put in their filings. Yeah. They said Justice Merchan, it's actually bigger than just this case. Yeah. And they didn't use these exact words, but they're saying, look, New York has a lot of very high-profile criminal cases and low-profile criminal cases. Heck, one of my co-hosts, Karen Friedman-Agnifilo, is representing someone in one of those very high-profile ones, where the district attorney's office is going to be on the opposite side of the office where Karen Friedman-Agnifilo was once the number 2 in that office. So they're on opposite sides, of course. So here, what the district attorney is saying, though, is that the entire justice system could be dissolved. People will lose confidence in it in New York if you don't come out here with the idea that a convicted felon's a convicted felon and that no one is above the law. And there's a lot at stake even beyond the Trump case. If people think they can throw around power in the halls of your courtroom and bully you and do all of these things, you're going to create a domino effect here in New York, a sovereign state in a federalism structure where state sovereign rights matter, and we need a robust justice system. And I get your take on that, Harry, but look, Justice Merchan's order denying absolute immunity showed not even the slightest bit of a flinch. If you didn't know that Donald Trump won the election, which is hard to say, but that's the reality. If you didn't know Trump won the election and you read that order, you would not really be able to even tell if that happened or didn't happen. That's how no favor or non-favor, went into Justice Merchan's calculation. Literally, to me, that order would not have looked different really one way or the other. So I think that's sending at least a signal that Merchan is going to follow the law, and he's not afraid here of Trump's social media posts or whatever. I'll give you the final word.
No, look, I think that's right. It's a clear-headed and principled opinion. But you made a point that I should emphasize more, which is, yes, these are unprecedented circumstances. Yes, Merchan has recognized it. Yes, he's given ground on scheduling. But that doesn't mean there isn't anything on the other side. And he cited many things, but the number one thing he cited was just what you, as you say, Ben, public confidence in the criminal justice system. Bragg comes in and says persuasively, and Merchan adopts this line, you know, president, rich guy, whatever, if they can just literally make it go away. It's one thing if, all right, now they've got to do their job, see you in 4 years, but if they can make it go away, where does that leave public confidence in the criminal justice system? And for all the importance of this factor that he is now president, we've got to balance it against that as well. And you do not have to make the conviction go away. And if you did, it would harm public confidence. So that's where you need to come out. And I tend to agree with you. That is where he will come out.
There you have it, Harry Litman. Everybody, you know where I get my legal news from? This guy, Harry Litman, right there. The Talking Feds YouTube channel. You know, it's like looking in the mirror. Harry Litman, the Talking Feds YouTube channel. What is this, like Dumb and Dumber? The Talking Feds.
And every interview of President Biden from this week, I always get from Ben.
The Talking Feds YouTube channel, Talking Feds Substack, and the Talking Feds podcast. Check it out. There you go. It's the opposite direction.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.